I call Jenny Salisa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to take a call on the education legislation bill. Mr. Speaker, the purpose and principles of this bill, as proposed by the national government, are to look at improving the administration and governance arrangements for educational entities and funding organisations. The changes proposed are going to run across the entire education system. It will allow tertiary institutions to sponsor charter schools, which this government calls partnership schools. It would look at allowing the creation of super principals, to adjusting the opening hours of schools and so forth. These are wide-ranging changes to our educational system, and dragging in their wake will be a range of issues which we believe in the Labour Party will be detrimental to the futures of our young people. New trainee teachers, for instance, that the Honourable Minister spoke about. When this was presented to the Select Committee, most of those who came to give us their submission were actually against having trainee teachers. It is one thing to allow trainee teachers at the high school level, but what this bill actually proposes is to allow trainee teachers at all levels of the education system. And one of the things that we think is being proposed under this is just a cost-saving measure. Instead of allowing trainee teachers across all of the levels of education, we should instead have 100% qualified registered teachers. It's clear, as noted in the minority report from Labour, New Zealand First and the Greens, that there isn't really a strong case for allowing a principal, a super principal, to manage more than one school. Nor do we actually have the details, as my colleague Chris Hipkins spoke about at the Select Committee. We asked our ministerial folks for them to actually explain to us why is it that we are having this proposal in front of us to allow a super principal, to allow a principal of not just one school, but potentially two schools, and in some cases possibly even three schools, to actually have one principal overlooking a lot of schools. You know, when we ask some of our principals, and I actually went out and asked several of the principals in my area, one of the schools that we have in our area at Otahuhu is actually a really successful school, Macaulay Girls High. In fact, they actually won the award for the Prime Minister's Education Supreme Award, and they also won Excellence for Engaging Award this year. I asked Anne Miles, the principal over at Macaulay Girls, what her thoughts are on becoming one of these super principals, and her answer to me was that she is dedicated to her students at Macaulay. She looks after around about 800 students. She has put together teachers and a school board and support staff, and she works well with the parents. And she said to me that it would be putting the success that she has actually gotten for her school at risk if she would then divide her time between her school and other schools, possibly not even two schools, but possibly up to 2 or 3 schools. It would be, in her words, diluting the success that she already has, stretching it across many schools. And in her words, as a principal, she found it hard to believe how she as a principal would take it if another principal was a super principal that would come into her school, tell her what she should be doing, tell her from experience from another school what might possibly work based on theories from another school. And in her words, she would prefer not to actually do that to another school. Macaulay outperforms many schools across the country. They produce marvellous educational achievements, but they actually didn't get to this place overnight. In fact, it's taken 10 to 20 years or so for Macaulay to get to the really good academic results that they have right now. For instance, last year the UE results for Macaulay was 74%, compared to the national average rate of 69%. NCA Level 1 was 95% at Macaulay, compared to the national average of 81%. Level 2 NCA, 91%, and for Level 3 for Macaulay, it was 91% compared to the national average of 78%. However, Macaulay is a Decile 1B school. the socioeconomic of the kinds of students that attend Macaulay and the surrounding area, high unemployment rate. The average medium funding that are coming into these families are between $19,000 to $21,000 per family in these places, but they have turned their school around. I now want to talk about charter school, because one of the things that this current bill allows is actually the expansion of the charter school model. Now, after actually covering the academic results of an outstanding school in one of my areas, given the socioeconomic area that we have in Otahuhu, what this current government has done is 2 streets away, only 2 streets away, they've actually opened up a charter school to be in direct competition with Macaulay, a school that has outstanding results, a school that has excellent results, according to this government, to have given it the Prime Minister's Extreme Award this year. Now, you would think that a principal like Anne Miles of Macaulay Girls High School would be just the kind of principal that we would look at to be a super principal, you know, to actually spread her expertise around, to lead other schools. But she does not want a bar of this kind of initiative to be a super principal. Now, looking at this pragmatically, a super principal, and Chris Hipkins already discussed this earlier on, would also have other issues that they would contend with. They would be accountable not just to one school board, they would be potentially accountable to 2 or possibly 3 school boards. And at the same time, given that they are already a principal of one school, they would also be accountable to that particular school and to that community. So there'd be quite a few things that this super principal is supposed to be trapezing just to make sure that it actually works. But back to the charter school model. Now, the charter school model, when it was first proposed, we were told that this is a model that would be one that would turn around the educational achievements of Māori and Pacific children. But here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, the charter school model has already failed. Whangaruru Charter School is a model that has failed. It has been closed down. We have invested, this government has invested $5.5 million in that charter school, and we as taxpayers don't even know if we will get even $1 back from that $5.5 million investment. And yet, what does this government do? It is expanding the charter school model, investing even more millions and millions of dollars into even more charter schools across New Zealand. But most Māori and Pacific students, they don't attend charter schools. There's only a few hundred per school that actually attends charter schools. Most of our Māori and Pacific students attend state schools right now. Thousands and thousands of our state schools are the ones that are serving Māori and Pacific students. We contend that instead of wasting millions of dollars more in charter schools, that we should be looking at what we're doing in the state schools that we have right now. Already, this current government is freezing the operational budget of the current state schools and instead spending millions in charter schools. It's not even investing in special schools like Salisbury Special School over at Nelson, and instead it's wasting millions and millions of dollars on charter schools. It is, to me, really just ridiculous that here we have a chance to turn around the educational achievement of where the majority of Māori and Pacific students go to school right now, which is at state schools. But no, we are trifling, experimenting, wasting millions and millions of dollars in charter schools instead. And this bill also allows for charter schools model to be funded by investing it in polytechnics. Yet another sign that this government is not actually that successful in attracting other people that are out there to come through and actually establish charter schools. They have to actually now reach out to the current public system, to polytechnics, to actually open up their doors because they have failed at actually expanding the charter schools any other way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Todd Muller.